Let's go. Streaming data free on the MTN network in South Africa.
This is Omnisport.
T's and C's apply.
Let's get into our inspiration for this morning.
Yeah, so the one thing Afghanistan and South Africa have got in common, as well as a history of legalized discrimination, is the fact that they've got some of the highest rates of gender-based violence in the world. And going over to play against Afghanistan does bring with those issues, and particularly the fact that the Afghanistan women's team is not allowed to play. You know, they're basically, most of them have gone into exile. There's talk about them starting up a refugee team in Australia, and Australian cricket are very interested in doing that. Australian cricket are refusing because of influence from their government, but also I think some of the players to refuse to play against Afghanistan. They pulled out a series against them earlier in the year, and the South African Cricket Association came out and actually asked for an end to gender-based violence, particularly the exclusion of women in Afghanistan. And Temba Bavuma, I mean, my head just is full of praise for this man. I mean, he spoke, he said, I look at it in my personal capacity, and it's something I feel quite strong about. It's my values, and I support the idea of inclusivity and caring for women. We want everyone to have a fair chance within society. We know that it's something that is relevant to us as a country in South Africa. He said, I've got to respect that there are more people in position. So he said, that's what I think, but they can probably speak more eloquently about this, but it's my personal capacity. I support the statement and the cause of what South African Cricket Association have said. I mean, it's untenable that a women's team gets excluded because of the Taliban. I mean, South Africa, the World Population Review rated us and Brazil as the place where gender-based violence is the highest. We need to speak out about it, and there have been various initiatives in GBV, particularly from South African cricket. There have been the women's team has stopped once they did not wear the green and gold jerseys. They wore the black as a statement against GBV. And for Temba Bavuma and South African men, and recent Sia Khaleesi, he said the same thing about GBV. He was speaking about it, said, we need to stand up. We need to stand up. You and I have spoken about it. The Ugandan athlete, Chiptigai.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of Kenyan athletes. How she was murdered. The other two in Kenya. It's untenable, and it has to stop. And Temba Bavuma standing up is my inspiration for the week and for the day.
You know what I like about it is, I don't think everybody has to talk about it, but because there's a big risk for athletes, right, is that often things like this, and I'm just talking within my own context, is that if a Temba Bavuma comes out, the general feeling is guys will go, oh, you think you're better than us. So there's a bit of a risk for him. And also, one thing we understand about corporates is they don't like these social issues because it's risky. You know, it is, corporates hate risk and they don't like anything divisive. So Temba Bavuma is actually taking a financial risk by talking about it.
Yeah.
Because, listen, we have to be honest, a lot of corporates are going to do box ticking exercises, but they don't like it because I've worked with them. I've worked in marketing. I know that they have absolutely no appetite for ambiguity. They have no appetite for any of these things that can possibly divide society. They just want somebody, like Tom Brady is their dream, you know, like just be clean cut and just don't say anything wrong and just speak in sort of short sentences. So I commend Temba Bavuma for coming out and saying this, because naturally in our minds we're thinking, oh, everyone will love this. No, they won't. Like some men will not like that he's talking about this at all in his position, and a lot of the sponsors won't like it. So I find it inspirational that he finds that he needs to talk about it, because it's comfortable for him. He's making millions of rands a year. He doesn't need to. So for him to make himself uncomfortable and take it on, because it's a massive social issue, right? And it's not his job. Let's be quite frank. It is not his job. There are people being paid to protect women out there who aren't doing it. So for him to take it upon himself is awesome.
The thing for me is it's a two-syllable word. It's ethics. And he's shown that he has them. And he's shown that he has them as a player on the field. I remember when he walked, when he actually didn't get the edge and he wasn't out. He was like a Johnny Walker whiskey thing, just keep on walking, man. But he didn't. But his ethics are in stark contrast to those of Cricket South Africa's executive, who say, oh, it's complicated. And it's not complicated. It's a complex issue. We do speak about it at ICC level, so we're not obviously speaking about it hard enough or long enough or strong enough, because there are women dying. There are 25 women who were contracted by Afghanistan in 1919 or 1920, excuse me, and then in 21 when the Taliban took over, they just basically had to scatter. You know, they've been rammed inside. They're not allowed to go to university. They are raped on a daily basis. The violence is just extraordinary.
And so, you know, here's part of the issue here is that one of their players is one of the best players in the world now.
Yeah.
So it now also, people always view women's issues and men's issues as separate. They're not separate. We live in a society. So people would think, oh, Afghani women issues not going to be an issue. Well, turns out Rashid Khan, remember, he now refused to play. He wanted to stand down from the SA20 because Afghanistan were banned for these very issues.
Yeah.
So that created an issue because he becomes a multi-million-dollar asset that doesn't want to play now because you're going against Afghanistan. So these issues are all linked. Don't think that women's issues are just their issues. They will become your issues, and now they're at our doorstep because Rashid Khan refuses to play.
I know, that's brilliant.
So listen, you got to stand up. Shout out to Temba Bavuma, and we'll see how all those issues end up, and hopefully can be taken more seriously. I think anyone who is in a civilized society would hope that women can be given the opportunity to endeavor in whatever they may choose in a legal manner, which is playing cricket and trying to inspire the next generation. All right, let's look at what is coming up tonight. Kev, it's the Champions League. Luckily for you, you don't need to play Nottingham Forest. It's massive. I mean, for the first day to dish up Liverpool against AC Milan is absolutely hysterical. What a way to start.
Yeah, the best way. You come in with a bang. As Alisson was, the Liverpool goalkeeper was talking about before, he said, he's excited, even though there's a lot of games. But, if you're a fan, you're going over your head about this. And you're loving it.
God, he is brilliant. Alisson, what a goalkeeper. Here is the full list of fixtures in the Champions League tonight. Juventus play PSV Eindhoven. Young boys play Aston Villa in that historic clash, if you are a Villa fan. AC Milan, Liverpool. Bayern München play Dinamo Zagreb. Real Madrid play FB Stuttgart, of course, VfB Stuttgart. And then Sporting Lisbon will play Lille there. So that's awesome stuff if you are a fan of the football. Juventus against Eindhoven will be tasty as well, because Juventus isn't that Juventus anymore. Yeah. They're going through some financial stuff.
Yeah, and it's great that it's an early kickoff. So they're the 7:15 p.m. kickoff, and rest of the games, and Villa as well. Excuse me. I'm really looking forward to seeing Villa back. I mean, I remember I'm off that age. I remember the 80s. It's an 82. Villa just came out, and they were one of the great teams, and they were one of the big five. And to win the European Championship, is an extraordinary thing. And to do it the way they did, and they've done it. Arsenal haven't.
They have not. No, and they're one of the five or six clubs in England I take very, very seriously. Having been fortunate enough to be in the English football system, you know what they're like. You know who I'm sick of. Leeds fans who call themselves a big club. Get out of here. Like, I know you had Lucas Radebe, but get that out of here. You're a historical club. You're a nice club. And listen, Yorkshireman, hysterical accent, great sense of humour. But Leeds, get out of here. You are not on Aston Villa's level. Like, there's some of these clubs are proper, and Aston Villa for me belongs in that top 5 or 6 echelon. So that's I think brilliant for everybody who loves Z football. AC Milan, Liverpool, I want to talk about quickly. Okay, but I think AC Milan are going through the troubles of Serie A, having bloody done calciopoli, match fixing, blah, blah, blah. So they are now suffering those effects. They can't really compete financially. But there seems to be a little bit of an upturn with the return of AC Milan, and Inter Milan were in the Champions League final a couple of years ago. That's good for football, because let me tell you something. I've been fortunate enough to go to the San Siro for the derby 3 or 4 times. When that stadium is going, there is no better television product than the San Siro and the flares and the football and the chanting. And they chant like 3 or 4 hours before the game, by the way. It's not like English football where you come in, chant a little bit before the game and then leave. Those ultras are hectic, and that whole stadium is buzzing. That's going to be awesome tonight.
They've made a steady start to the Serie A under Thiago Motta. He's doing okay. I see it was Cagliari just went top of the league, and with the win last night. But they're doing okay. They're 2 times champion. Can they hit the ground running with a victory at home? It's going to be a bit tough. PSV are thereabouts. But they're in a strong moment in their careers. Let's see.
Let's see how that goes. And how are you feeling about Liverpool?
nervous.
Have you put any money down?
No. I did that on the weekend and it backfired badly. So, I mean, I'm reading a piece in the Times about the fact that Liverpool need a Jurgen Klopp type sort of moment. Arne Slot needs to step this team up, lift them up from the failure of Forest.
So in this new system, you cannot for a second take your eye off it. It is a point system. It is incredibly complicated. We tried to break it down in 5 minutes the other week. But let the good times roll. Football every day. I mean, as a football fan, obviously for me, I'm like, the players might get injured, but at least I get to watch football. Whatever, Alison, sit down. We'll discuss that issue a little bit later this week in terms of too many games going on. All right, let's answer our question of the day. The question is, I was the first Liverpool player to win the Ballon d'Or. I scored 40 goals for my country and have played in England and Spain. The question, or the answer to that question is...
Michael Owen, and I knew this without having to look at the answer. He was one of the greats. Small, you couldn't bounce from low centre of gravity, you couldn't bounce him off the ball. That goal he scored against Argentina in the 1998 World Cup was one of the great goals of all time. Michael Owen for me. I wish he hadn't left Liverpool when he did. I also wish he hadn't played for Manchester United. It's still something that grates me a little bit.
Understandably. And then what's worse is he went and won the title there as well.
Ooh, I'm getting the shivers.
Michael Owen, one of the worst TV pundits I've ever heard. I've never heard anyone so boring. But as a footballer, from the age of 16, and those hamstrings, unfortunately, did him in because I think it cut his career, or certainly the peak of his career short. But at his peak, I mean, at around 17, 18, this young generation will probably remember Wayne Rooney more.
Yeah.
Michael Owen at 16, 17 was the best striker in the league.
Yeah, but I don't.
At 18 years old, I think he won the top goal scorer, I think, when he was 19 in the Premier League. When the Premier League was the Premier League, then there was none of this two-footed tackles are outlawed. Back then, defenders were hacking, and he was some player. My God. And Liverpool weren't very good then, by the way.
No, we still decent play. I think Redknapp was around, so was Steve McManaman. Robbie Fowler was sniffing the white lines. We had a decent team. Somebody called them the Spice Boys at once.
Machas, that's McManaman and Redknapp and that lot. But Michael Owen, my God, what a player!
Yeah, no, outstanding. I can still watch replays of that goal against Argentina over and over again.
Get him off TV though. He's a horrible pundit. One of the most boring people in the world. But man, it makes me sick to compliment a Liverpool player, but my God, what a player he was. The answer was Michael Owen to our question of the day. All right, a reminder of your chance to win your share of 50 grand worth of cash and airtime prizes on our show's special keyword. Our show's special keyword today is Wednesday. The show special keyword today is Wednesday. Listen next hour to Brad Jakes and then to Onakosi, and they'll give you their keywords. Then send them to 0788777716. Collect them all and enter the OmniSport Cash Competition. Well, that's it for today's show. Join us tomorrow as we bring you the sport from Africa and around the world.
Listen live and on demand.
Welcome to OmniSport.